I says, Mum, we'll go to Glasgow, and that he got to Poland. You can pack the shower, right?
Right, Alistair McConaughey here reporting for A Force for Good at George Square, where there is a very significant turnout of people this morning. The mob wanted to attack the statues here in George Square because they're anti-British history haters, basically. However, a large number of people have come out, Glaswegians, to defend their city against the anarchy and the foolishness and the nastiness of the mob. Everybody here in the square is standing up for Glasgow. Big police presence. We're going to try to estimate the numbers of people here. It's certainly several hundred. Just take a walk round. I'll change the camera so you can see. Very heartening to see people standing up for their heritage, for the precious inheritance which has been handed down to us by our ancestors, forebears who built the great city of Glasgow. And people are standing up saying, we don't want you to touch any of it. The cenotaph there being defended by a large group of patriotic people. There's the Gladstone monument directly in front of me. Big crowd here. The glass building in the background is the new frontage of Queen Street Station, and in front of Queen Street Station is the Robert Peel statue, which for some reason the British history haters wanted to take down because guess what, he invented the police force, okay? So that just shows the level of their mind and attitude. Anyway, there's no way it's going to be taken down today because the mob has been, what do they say, BTFO'd, to use the modern vernacular. Give Eileen a wave. Jim, hi. Nancy, well done everybody. John, good to see you, bro. Stay safe. Tommy, well done. Watching from Cornwall, says Morwenna. Lovely to have you, Morwenna. Pam says, well done everybody. Stephen says, watching from Northern Ireland. And in the background there is Queen Victoria on a horse next to Prince Albert on a horse, and that's the only two statues in the world of Victoria and Albert together on horses. In the very far corner over there is James Watt. And Robert Burns is there, and no doubt the British haters would dislike Robert Burns, because of course it was Robert Burns who said, "Be Britain still, to Britain true, among ourselves united, for never but by British hands will British wrongs be righted." That was in his famous poem, The Dumfries Volunteers. And so of course the British history haters will no doubt want to take him down as well. Then up here we have the centrepiece, which is the Walter Scott monument. And you know, we respect that, but we remember several years ago there was some people in the council wanted to clear out all the statues here anyway, and the reason they wanted to get rid of the Walter Scott one was they said he's from Edinburgh. That was the reason they wanted to get rid of this statue, or at least some numpty on the council thought that because he was from Edinburgh he didn't deserve this incredibly great statue, which is the centrepiece of George Square, named after George III. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? That is some architecture. Have a look at the crowd again. Well, isn't this heartening to see? Isn't this heartening to see the silly people of the so-called, well, I'm not even going to mention their names, but they said that they wanted to take the Peel statue down, that Glasgow wanted it taken down. Well, Glasgow doesn't clearly want it taken down, as this shows very clearly indeed. And the days of that lot thinking that they can get their way because nobody's going to do anything are over. They're over, and they ended today, Sunday, the 14th of June 2020, when Glasgow stood up and said, "We're defending what we have, and what we have we hold." I'm just going to go over to these two statues here because they're interesting from a military perspective. These are two of Britain's greatest generals. To commemorate the military services by Lieutenant General Sir John Moore, native of Glasgow, his fellow citizens have erected this monument in 1819, and he won the Battle of Corunna, and he died after the battle, but he died after he realised that they had won. And that statue is crafted from lead from that battle, or at least from cannonballs from that battle. His fellow citizens have erected this monument, and here it stands today, reminding us, for anybody who wants to look into that element of our Scottish and British history. And over here is Lord Clyde. Now, you'll have heard of the Thin Red Line. That was when 200 Highlanders head off a Russian cavalry charge in the Crimean War. Well, it was Lord Clyde who led the Thin Red Line. Field Marshal Lord Clyde, born in Glasgow, 20th of October 1792. This memorial of his distinguished military service is erected again by his fellow citizens in 1867. And it's through these statues, that we're able to enter into history, because we can pass it and say, well, who's he? And then you can, well, these days you can Google it and you can find out everything you wanted to know. And the fellow over there is Thomas Campbell, who was a Scottish poet. Hey, how you doing? All right. Good. Great people here today. And so proud of the people of Glasgow for standing up and defending their heritage against the history haters, the Philistines, if you will, who want to tear everything down and start again from year zero because they think they know best, which of course they don't. In fact, they know very little. Margaret says, well done, Glasgow. I'm so proud of you. Diane says, give them a hand. Colin says, our history, our heritage, our culture. Margaret says, brilliant. There's Jack sending us some flags together as well. Marlene says, great, people setting a good example and protecting those statues from mob rule. Exactly. Protecting from mob rule. Well, you know, somebody says they don't want Scottish poet statues to come down. Well, do you know what? I'm afraid that they do, because if they found out that a Scottish poet had a bad, what they thought was a bad point of view on something such as the Union, or indeed anything, then of course they would want it to come down. That's the whole point. That's the whole point of this ignorant movement that wants to destroy history. Because as we've said before and we'll say again, every single person who's got a statue in the United Kingdom, man or woman, if you looked into the past, you'd find something that the politically correct people would oppose and disapprove of. Goodness me, we've just, if anything proves that, we've seen that in the last few days when we've seen the Winston Churchill memorial being attacked for so-called racism. The fact that he might have helped Britain win World War II seems just to be a side issue to these sorts of people, because they're more concerned about having the right politically correct opinion than actually saving the country from tyranny. We've seen Abraham Lincoln's statue being vandalised. Abraham Lincoln actually freed the slaves. Okay? We've seen Robert the Bruce statue being vandalised. Robert the Bruce from the 1300s. Apparently he was a racist, according to the person who vandalised his statue. So don't think this ends where you want it to end. Everybody is going to be accused in the brave new world that the history haters want to bring in. Jack says, I don't understand how destroying British historical statues can help. I'm all for everyone being treated equal. Of course. Watching you live from Southport. This is my history, culture and heritage. Proud of you guys, says Hugh. Charles says, well done guys. It's a sad state of affairs when we need to protect our own monuments. That's so true. Linda says, well done. So proud to be Scottish and British. Let's just take a walk over here. have a closer look at the cenotaph. Marion says, "You've more history knowledge." Thanks, Marion. Glenn, fantastic people you are. Danny says, "Watching from Orkney." Good for you. Good for you, Danny. That's the great thing about the internet, isn't it? Lots of people, lots of friends that I recognise in the crowd. Good wee display there at the cenotaph. The proud British Lions looking on. Karen says, "So proud of you all." John, these are patriots, proud of you all. Rule Britannia. John says, "Watching from Corby." Good old Corby. Arlene says, "Scary times." Well, that's certainly true, but people are pushing back. When people try to hurt, there's always going to be a pushback. And this is a very good, well-behaved, peaceful demonstration that we are united behind our heritage and our history, and the men and women who have given us what we are so lucky to have today. James says, "Good on you." Craig says, "Is this live now?" Yes, it's live now. It's happening right now. Sheila says, "Thank you for filming, great to see." Well, that's the least we can do. The least we can do today is to report on this, because we do believe, our organisation does believe, that Britain is a force for good. And of course I want to emphasise that no organisation has put this demonstration together. It's a spontaneous appearance, a spontaneous occurrence, a spontaneous people simply seeing what's happening on the internet and deciding to come along. Nigel, well done to you all from Cambridgeshire. Greg, people are standing up for our heritage and history. Jack says, "Make Scotland and the United Kingdom great again." Robert says, "Where are they wanting to take down the statue?" Well, they said they were going to try it at 1 o'clock, but it's very... We would have to see that. I think that's pretty unlikely, given the fact that the place is packed with people who don't want them to do it. Chris says, "Support from Australia." Fantastic. Jazz, "Proud to be British. Respect to our brothers and sisters defending our memorials." Alison, "Shout out to the Springburn. Doing their bit. Good for them." John, "Great job. Big thanks." Arlene, "Kieran, our history is everything to be proud of," says Kieran. Good for you, Kieran. Alright, good to see you, my friend. Actually, he didn't say that. He was trying to be cheeky. But in fact, it's everything to be proud of, mate. Everything to be proud of. Ron, "Scotland the Bride, love you all." John's watching from Aviemore. Mick says, "Respect to you all." Karen, "It's brilliant to see so many from all over Glasgow to protect the statues and the cenotaph." Paul, "Well done, guys." Greg, Stephen says, "People do make Glasgow," and that's absolutely correct. In fact, there is a big sign somewhere around here that's, you can see it if I go to the other side of the square. Aye. So I wonder how many people are here. I wonder if we can do a count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. probably about 150 in this little area here. Probably round about 400 to 500 in this other area. Sometimes people can look at crowds and they can say, oh, thousands, but in fact when you actually break it down, when you get deep down into it, you get a much more accurate figure. We are, our group, A Force for Good's well known, of course, for counting the Scottish nationalist marchers, and often they'll say they've had 100,000, but we film them and we meticulously go through the video, and it's usually around about 8 to 10,000. So they usually exaggerate the Scottish nationalists by a factor of 10. But we have no interest in getting figures wrong in any way, shape or form. Scotland is British, says Shearer. Good stuff. Send in your thoughts, send in your comments. Pastor Jacob, you will want the unbiased history of the statues. Absolutely. Well, there's no such thing really as unbiased. What you've got is everybody has a bias. But what you actually want, Pastor, is the full development of statues, you know, the full history. And that's just entirely up to you and anybody else who wants to investigate that. That's not up to the system to tell you what the history is, because then you'll just get somebody else's bias. Don't quite know what's going on here. I'll just film it. Well, there's about 20 of the opposition up there. They're slightly outnumbered.
We need to start taking music.
Well, whoever that was has made a hasty exit. From where we were standing, it looked like maybe about 20 people, young people. Don't know where they've gone. Ah, good. You keep it. Keep it, yeah.
Ellen McDonald.
Yes.
They're all sniping about. They're all sniping about. Thank you. No problem.
Alright, I'm just going to put this off for the moment. Well, hang on. I'll just keep it running. I'll just keep it running. Could you just keep away? But just kind of keep it going.
All right, yeah. It was all kicking off over there. I'm apparently your war reporter for the time being. So yeah. Okay. Yeah, there's a wall of building a wall, and they're going to make the lefties pay for it. Aye, they were chased off. So yeah, they haven't got anywhere close. Half the city's just turned out to defend. Sorry? I'm just on the way over there. You're not on it.
He's scared that people, he doesn't know who they are, and what happens is it's video information, and what happens is he doesn't know if you're a snitch.
No.
I know, but you can understand.
I'm well allied, okay. Some people are nervous. I'll pop it away. Okay, signing off.